Good morning, this is John from Clock Repairs Merseyside. I just thought I'd make a start on this ship's double fusee 8 bells clock. I think it's made by Dent. Okay, it probably dates, as we've said, probably around about 1840, I would think. Maybe slightly earlier than that, maybe 1830s, maybe. Anyway, I just thought I'd go through the general thing, what I'm going to do with this clock. I've decided I'm just going to clean this clock completely by hand. So I'm going to, the first thing I'm going to do is obviously dismantle a few things. Now, obviously, I've took the platform off, which is this. Now, that will be obviously taken to pieces and serviced separately. I'm not going to over polish this movement at all because it's got this patterning on it, which I think is the mask, is it? Or it's that type of name. You see it quite a bit on pocket watches, the older pocket watches. So I do know from experience that over doing this, it starts looking very patchy and things like that. So I'm really going to be careful and hand clean it, which we would hand clean a clock like this anyway. I mean, a clock, 1820s. I mean, I think a cut-off point for anything ultrasonic really for me is probably about 1860s, round about, maybe a bit later than that probably, but most things I'll clean by hand. The thing is, it all looks nice, a very, very shiny movement, obviously, and it does, and it looks great, but at the end of the day, I think other things are much more important to me, like taking the clock to pieces correctly, making sure you've got everything in order, taking plenty of photographs. I mean, I've took plenty of photographs of this clock to make sure. And also, I will take notes as well. Obviously, you want it to go back together with as least trouble as possible. Now, the clock has been working away quite happily for over a week, well, the clock movement has. Obviously, the things, it has stopped once or twice. I mean, it's all down pretty much to a service, I think, at the end of the day. I can't find anything that really needs bushing. We've checked over, nothing really. The movement is pretty solid, to be fair. I mean, it's got on here, E. Dent & Co, 61 Strand, London, 1776. I don't know. Maybe it is that old. I somehow get a feeling it's not through things I've read. I don't think it is. I think that maybe when the company was started, but I think this movement is a bit later. But nevertheless, a fabulous movement, really well made. Anyway, what I always do is, first off, I'll make sure it's wound down like that. Okay. But also, I start on the front end. Now, the reason I start on the front end is so that we can actually release the mainsprings as well. Now, sometimes we haven't got a clock key big enough for this, but so I use a winding handle off a grandfather clock. I'll just give that little thing, and then we can just release it. Like that. And then I'll just pop that back there for now. But all this is going to come off. But remember, plenty of photographs. Now, also, make notes of things like numbers, like on the strike side of this clock, oh God, things are out my mind like you wouldn't believe. Think to me age. The click, basically what you'd have as your click spring, the lever is number 12 on this side, to number 18 on the other. These are things that you should always make sure you're taking notes of these things. Very precarious, this type of thing, but it's got to be done. I mean, we haven't got a winding key big enough really with it. I mean, maybe I'll make something, which is often the case with clockmaking stuff. You'd have to make everything. So what I would first do there now is I would probably, I'd take the front end off. I'm trying to explain this rather than just you watch it in it blindly, because there's absolutely a lot of videos on YouTube, some really good videos on YouTube that explain things probably a lot better than I do actually. But you know, we all have our way, don't we? Now, when we're looking at the clock, I mean, you've got this lever here, but it's actually on a screw here, so you could take the whole thing off. So I'd be looking for things like that. And this particular clock's going to be done in one go, so I have a mat over here and I put everything as is on the mat, set out on the mat. So we're going through everything there, you know, paying attention to the way things look. Take a few photographs at each stage. That is always really now, I prefer to take photographs with a camera with an SD card in. Simple reason being is that I can pop the SD card in my computer and I can print it off easy. I know I can do it with my phone, and I know I can do it with this, and I know I can do it with that, but you know, the phone, as you can see at the present moment in time, is being used to take this video. So, you know, that's how I do things. So yeah, so then I'd start off, obviously, we've got our mat over here, so in the centre of the mat I'm going to put everything to do with the you know, the motion work, shall we say. So basically this is how we're going to do it, and it's just gone to pieces. And now obviously you're checking things out as you're doing this. I mean, I'm being honest with you, it looks pretty good, but this clock has got a really good, you know, it's been serviced really well. I mean, you know, there's a long list of paperwork for this clock, and it has had some really good service, and there's not been anything untoward. Everything's been good. Now obviously, make a note there, that's your escape wheel, obviously your crown escapement. So you need to remember that, you know, that's only very thin on the end there, so you need to be a little bit careful there with that. Be aware of everything, and you know, take relatively your time. You know, obviously if you're in the business to earn money, you can't, you know, you can't sort of, you've got, you know, a lot of clocks to do, you can't sort of be silly, and you know, you've got to get on with it again. So we're looking at the thing, you took everything off, right? Okay, the cannon has got a little, what looks like a little click spring on it. So again, what I will do is I will just take photographs of everything, and the clock will go back exactly the same way. So obviously next off is our what's acting. I'll tell you what I have noticed with this clock, when you take some of these pins out, they just seem to snap. I mean, I don't know what they're made out of, the pins, but so I'm just trying to pop that pin out. I have a box here as well on this side, as you can see where the thing is, and I just put everything in there. But yeah, so that comes off. Have a little look at it. Not none towards. Cannon comes off, and put that underneath its counterpart. Pressure washer. Obviously, quite often apprentices, when they do start doing servicing on grandfather clocks, they often lose the pressure washer, and then when they get it all together, she's not so bad on a grandfather clock, they suddenly realise that the hands don't go round. So there you go on that one. So again, have a look at the photo. Now, obviously, if you've had a lot of experience, you're not going to have to take that many photos, are you? You're going to pretty much be able to just get on with it. But I'm really trying to cater for a bit of everything, but I don't really want to go over everything that's being done on YouTube. I mean, my idea is not to be in competition with people. My idea is just to give advice, and also it's good for my business as well, isn't it? You know, it shows what we do, it showcases our skills. So yeah, so this is obviously your gathering palette. Now, that looks okay. Doesn't look, things don't look bent on it. Hold it up to the camera a bit. Things don't look bent, everything looks quite good. Put that in there. Now, when you get to this point, you took your gathering palette off. Make a note, if you can, to where this pin is. There's a pin here, a stop pin. Okay, so make a note where it is. Now, in this particular case, it's set at round, it looks like it's at about 10 o'clock. So make a note of that. Pin at 10 o'clock. Okay. I mean, we're going to set it up anyway, but, you know, just make a note. I'm trying to make this as, you know, the general procedure as possible. As I say, without going over too much old stuff. I mean, there's absolutely, you know, tons of videos on YouTube. Some of them are really good. Okay. Yeah, again, so and pins feel really strange. They feel really hard. You get a bit concerned. I mean, your pressure you're putting on them, I mean, to pop them out. So this is our rack. So it seems pretty decent. It doesn't seem too bad at all. And obviously we have a cam there. So again, take photographs of it. Now, obviously we're not putting in an ultrasonic cleaner, so we could make as many marks as we wanted really on things, you know, mark things up, but you know, the movement hasn't got any, you know, so we're gonna keep things as they are. So this spring's here, this spring's here, this spring, yeah. So everything looks pretty thing. So what I would do now, if you have a look here, can you see there's, it looks like rust or something. It looks like rust. So possibly, and there's actually some residue or something on the bottom edge here. So I'm wondering, has there been a leak or something sometime? Or maybe the clock's just got a bit. Now at this point, what I'd probably do is I'd probably try to pop the chains off if I could. Okay. So with your tweezers, unhook. I love it when the chains are on them. Chains are much easier to deal with than fusee wire. Much easier. Right, so that's one hooked off. So obviously disengage your spring. and your fusee chain will come off. Okay, now make a note which side it come off, just in case they're not the same, which often they're not, but just make a note. Hook that. Be careful with chains, don't twist them and things like that, you know, be careful with them, don't go mad, you know. The clock is relatively clean, to be honest, so make a note. Now you can either make a note by measuring it or putting it in a separate situation, but there's there's one fusee chain off. Pop it round, move our cone, if we can. Give me a little bit of trouble as it come off anyway. Let's pop our chain off, or click off rather, and then do it that way. Okay. Okay, so just unhook it. Again, being very careful, don't be bending it, don't be, you know. One side off, again, pull it off, unhook it. Right, so this side, what I've just taken off is for your striking side. So if we get the two chains, we'll see. Let's have a look. And actually, one is just slightly shorter, not by a lot, but slightly shorter. Okay, so in actual fact, your striking side is the longer chain. So what I'm going to do with them now, they will be cleaned carefully. Particularly, don't want absolutely loads of oil all over the cones and stuff like that. So, you know, I mean, sometimes with fusee chains, you've got to steep them in oil and stuff, because, you know, we get some and they're absolutely rusted and everything, you know. So we do try to save them if we can, but, you know, we check them out. Now go over your chain and check that there's no bad links and things like that. You know, don't assume everything's dead is okay. Just, you know, go over it, have a proper look, just in case, because, you know, you don't want to it to snap, do you? I mean, you know, skeleton clocks used to be terrible if they broke. I mean, sometimes things at the dome would get broken, you know, there'd be all kinds of things. But yeah, I do favour chains. I mean, if you try and get a chain now on eBay, it's like it costs you 75 quid for a chain. I mean, if you can do repairs on them, that's great. But yeah, that's one chain. In fact, they look pretty good. They look pretty good. They look pretty good. I would assume one cone's bigger than the other. Yeah. I'm just off camera, but I'm just carefully wrapping these chains, just, you know, in a circle. Don't want to, very carefully, not forcing nothing. And while I'm doing that, I'm actually checking the chain, and, you know, if I see something that I don't like or it feels a bit strange, I'm going to investigate it a bit closer. We have a lovely microscope over there that I can really get in and have a look. You know what I mean? I'll probably do the service on the platform under that scope. You know, it just helps out a lot. It's really good, really worth getting. Expensive, but there's your 2 chains. So yeah, pretty much now we're at the stage of completely stripping it down. So next move, obviously, take your hammers off. So I'm just gonna undo these front screws for the hammer assembly rather. Now you've got two hammers on these, because obviously it rings out, you know, between 1, you know, and 8 bells and things. So it, you know, obviously different sequences, which I gave you the sequences the other day, I think, on when I first showed you the movements. Obviously I'm looking to have it doing that. So we've got the hammers, and they're going to go over there on our mat. Okay. They're pretty much only, they are slightly different, so they only fit one way, just checking them out. So there's your hammers. They're off. There you go there. Little swig of me tea. Okay, checking the back end of the clock. Yeah, everything now. Remember, you're checking the back end of the clock. You're not going to lean it on its front, because remember, we've got this, you know, for the minute hand. You know, the little pinion sticking out. If we break that, we're in trouble. That's there. So yeah, so making a note of where everything is. Right, so what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to finish the front end off, just taking everything off. This is our best move on this one. Front end off. Now these are the springs. Now this is the spring for your hammers, of course. Now also, when you set, but we're going to put the plate on stands in a second. Obviously, I'll take, you know what, I'll take another quick photo of that just for myself. Yeah, as I was saying before, I think I jumped onto something else like you often do. I like taking photographs with the camera. Like that. I know I can do it with my phone, but my phone, I'm using it. But also the camera if I want to. And I can do it with my computer, because we've got cloud services and stuff. So what I'll do is that if I need to, I can print off, you know, the pictures that I've taken of the movements, and it's always better to have them sometimes. No, rather than have a phone and then you're looking at the phone and then it goes off and then you've got to do it again, and it becomes a bit frustrating. So I tend to do it with the with my camera, with the camera with an SD card rather than have all that. Again, when you're taking things to pieces, try to make sure it's a decent enough screwdriver. Don't be taking it to pieces with rough screwdrivers, or not the right screwdriver, or one that's too big or too small. Try and get it to be near enough where it is, because you don't want to damage the screws. And that's it. So our clips off. Remember, the 2 numbers on the clips are different, but the way I'm actually setting it out on the mat, it should work well as well. I mean, you've got to give yourself every opportunity to make sure you get this clock back right. I mean, don't, you know, assume you know everything all the time. I mean, I don't take as many pictures probably, but I do take enough. And when we've had Luke or Aaron working here, young lads, we're always on to them. Pictures. Because if anything goes wrong, we want to be able to see the pictures as well. to see what was going on. So that's very important. I don't think this clock hasn't been serviced. I think last time it was serviced about, I think it was over 10 years ago. But that's pretty much where we are now. We're pretty much getting to the stage where pretty much everything is off this front plate. Right, I'm gonna have to pop it up this way so that I can actually get the screwdriver in properly. Right, that's okay. As I say, remember, don't you know, go careful at that. You don't want to damage that screw. You want it to look okay. You go up the top end of our mat up there. Right, our side. This is there. I quite enjoy working on stuff like this, I've got to be honest. I mean, you know, obviously the you know, the God, the memory's terrible today. The mantle clocks, you know, the Westminster chime stuff, 1950s type of stuff. It's, you know, it's absolutely, it's boring. It's absolutely boring stuff. But, you know, it pays the bills. It pays the bills. But I think we're getting to the point soon where we're not going to be probably able to do it because we're getting so many restorations now. I mean, it literally, you know, it doesn't pay us really to work on some of them, to be fair. Now that's cam, so that's going to come off. Well, let's have a look what we've got. Okay. Right, it doesn't look like it's coming off easily. Maybe I can get a pair of tweezers behind it. Now, what I try to do when I'm leaving stuff off, I have these guitar picks and I'll put them behind things if I need to lever anything off, if you know what I'm saying. And that way then, if I can just get in there and just lever it off, see, pretty simple. So that come off quite easily. Right, so there we are with that. So that's that, pretty much that front end, completely stripped down. I'll probably whip off all the posts as I'm doing it just to clean. I mean, I'll have a look. I mean, really it's a situation when you're servicing clocks. I mean, you've got to look at things, you know, practically and, you know, the way you're going to do things. But yeah, I mean, to get a really good clean, you know, whip your posts off and things like that. But this is going to be fully cleaned by hand. Now I'm going to get some post movement stands. You can hear me in the background, and I'm going to put it on movement stands. Now, what I will also do with this movement stand situation, I will get a couple of guitar picks again, and on the outside of the movement, and I will do that. I just want to make sure I don't mark it. That's one off a wall clock, obviously. Right, so just the movement must be thicker at the bottom. Okay, so whip it over to the other side. With it, we're gonna actually well, unfortunately right. So there's our movement now. To go up a little bit of our camera. Okay. Right, so we took pretty much everything off our front plate now, and so obviously we're going to lift it off and we're going to have a look, and then we're going to take more pictures. Yeah, that's it. So again, pin seems to be coming off quite easily on that one. Right, so we're ready just to take the pins off, except for one pin here. 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like it's a 5 pillar movement. You can't half tell a difference. I know I go on about this, but you can't half tell a difference in old tools, can't you? I mean, these sort of, you know, pliers and things, they're probably 60 years old. Well, it seems to have been around me for forever. So there's just difference in them. They're good. They're tougher than they need to be, and then, you know. So here's your top plate off, and the fuses come off with it. So because obviously it's in the retaining thing. So what I will do is I will just put it together as was there, and I'll take photographs of it. I mean, that lever's fell off now. That's obviously as you wind it, it stops it going, you know. Would assume it's here somewhere. Okay, so I've got the movement like that now. If we remember rightly, we said that this was at about 10 o'clock. This is your pinwheel here. You know, I don't know whether you can, let's just zoom a bit. This pin here, this pinwheel here, when we looked before and we took photographs, it was at 10 o'clock. Okay, the other thing to note as well is this count wheel here. Sorry, I'm in the way again. Zoom back out again. Zoom in a bit. This count wheel, you noticed it's not completely it's a ship's clock, so it's not completely, you know, it misses. It's a combination of things, quite a few setup points on a ship's clock. Really not the easiest clock to start with. If you think of it, if I was anybody starting in this industry, I'd probably go for something a bit simple, you know, just a time only, or maybe a time and a strike at a Smith's Enfield. But yeah, take photographs like that. Make a note of everything. So yeah, so I think we could see now, oops, I think you can see now On your striking side, your barrel is much bigger than that, but on the time side, your cone is bigger than the cone there. So the chain, there's not much difference in them. There's only maybe 1.5 inches, maybe, but I suppose that's a lot. But yeah. So pretty much that's the procedure for us to, you know, service a clock. I mean, quite a long video this one, but what we do now is we'd be taking the clock to pieces. We pull the springs out of the cylinders, we'll check them to make sure they're not set. I think I've done a video on that before. If that's the case, that obviously the springs need replacing. I think the customers opted to get the springs replaced anyway, which we're probably going to do. Also, the cones, take the cones to pieces, the two, you know, your two fusee cones, check them, clean them, put a little bit of grease in them, make sure that, you know, they're going to run well. But yeah, that's pretty much it really, for what I can say. And then obviously going back together is a complete reverse of what we've just done. The front end obviously is by far the most complicated situation, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Anyway, this is John from Clock Repairs Merseyside. I'll have a great day. I'll speak to you again soon. If you like my videos, please like and subscribe. It does help. And I'll try and find, and as I get more and more interesting things, I'll, you know, we'll have a look and see. As I say, I don't want to do the same videos as everybody else. I want to try and make it just a little tiny bit different if we can. That's all it is really for me. I don't want to go over the same old stuff all the time. And as I say, anyone starting out in this business, you know, please reach out to us. I mean, I'm happy to give advice. I don't keep things top secret whatsoever. So, you know, this is John from Clock Repairs Merseyside. Have a great day. Thank you.